Hi everyone! I am going to explain the steps for completing Activity 2, Language Assessment Tools, for this week, Module 25, Unit 3. So basically with this activity, you are going to be putting some of the concepts that we have discussed into practice in the classroom. So since this program is called Teaching Multilingual Learners, this is your first opportunity to apply some of what we're talking about in the classroom. So basically, you are going to explore the resources under Activity 2, also thinking about the frameworks that you're working on, and think about a type of assessment tool for language that you can give to your students. So what you're going to do is individually, you're going to read some of the resources under the Activity Resources section on the platform in the project description area, just to get a deeper understanding of how language can be assessed and different types of assessment tools that you can use to do the same. If you're already teaching, you already surely have experience with this, and so you can draw from your own experiences as well. We did not get a chance to do this part in our VC today, which was to discuss your answer to the question prompt, what is the purpose of language assessment and what makes for a good language assessment tool? But you can go ahead and do this individually using this Padlet activity, okay? So you can go ahead and scan using a QR code, this QR code, and answer the question, or you can click on this link and go into the Padlet. Okay, so once you click on the link or the QR code, it will take you to this Padlet. And I have put the question right here, and then I created a spot for each of you to just go ahead and click on the little plus sign and write your answer on what is the purpose of language assessment and what makes for a good language assessment tool. We were going to do this in the VC, but we didn't have time, like I said, and that's fine. But please definitely complete this because it is in the rubric for this activity as part of your evaluation. So it doesn't have to be some big thing. Just think about your own ideas based on what you already come to the program with, or what you've read about or are reading about from the activity resources on what you think the purpose of language assessment is and what makes for a good language assessment tool. Language assessment tool just means the type of evaluation you are giving to a student, okay? Okay, so back to the instructions on what you're going to do. You're going to go and complete this Padlet activity as what we were going to do in the virtual class. And then individually, you're going to design and ideally administer a mini language assessment tool that is appropriate for your teaching environment, for your class. Now, I think there's one of you that is not currently teaching, so you can go and use your sample learner profile, the student that you did a profile on in last week's Unit 2 Activity 1. You can use that learner profile as a way to design your assessment tool, and that's a way to get around if you're not actually in the classroom. But ideally, we want to put some of these things into practice. So for those of you that are in the classroom, please try to give the assessment tool to one or a group of your students. And then you're going to individually on the platform in the discussion forum area, just answer the the question prompts. And don't forget to do this part, because what I've found is a lot of times, I know there's a lot of steps with all of these activities, but one of the places where many candidates forget to submit is in the discussion forum. So I just want to remind you to please go in there and do this part so that you get full credit and that you can spark the discussion or keep the discussion going from our VCs offline in the discussion forum area. Okay, so those are the instructions for this week, and I want to show you what an example language assessment tool looks like. Okay, so I put everything here on Google Classroom for you so that you have it handy. And for the activity 2, you have the assignment steps here, and then you're going to have your the examples of some language assessment tools so that you can get an idea of what it looks like. So this example is from a previous candidate. You can see she put her grade level and the course that she's teaching. She explains her student population, gives some background on what she's teaching and what the assessment content is about. And then she talks about the goals and goes into the actual assessment itself. Okay? So you have access to this on Google Classroom, but I just want to show you that breakdown of this example of a language assessment tool. Here's another one. This candidate used Jamboard to create her assessment, and she actually did it with her students. So here she has that same information that you need to include in terms of what the target population is, you know, what is the grade level of the students and the content area. This is a language literature class. She gives a little bit of demographic information on her students. And then, so here, this example is of a candidate who did not have her own class. And so she was able to, since she worked in a school in the front office, she was able to administer the assessment tool in another teacher's class. So I purposely put this in there before the candidate in our cohort that doesn't have a teaching environment right now. So maybe you could do something like this as well. But you can see up here, if you're not familiar with Jamboard, it's really cool. It's a feature on Google. She had the students log in, and we're going to do some Jamboards and further down, but just so you can look through this, you can arrow here to different frames to see the assessment. And you can go through and see she had the students use these tools to write sticky notes for their answers, so they were able to assess their writing skills. Okay, so those are 2 examples of assessment tools. Yours don't have to look like this, but basically just keep in mind the information that you have to include is this target learner population, some demographic information, what the content is, and what type of activity you're going to be teaching, and the language domain. So here, writing vocabulary. Okay, and in this other one, where was it here? She put in the goals down here, the types of areas that the assessment is working towards on comprehension. And I love this one because she added in the multiculturalism and gender equality, which is really cool. This is these students were in Germany, and some vocabulary and speaking and writing domains. Okay, just to give you some examples. I hope this is helpful for you. Don't forget to go in and do this Padlet activity, and you shouldn't have any trouble with it because you can just, use your phone here to click on this Padlet, or to get right onto this Padlet, or click here to get directly to the link. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Hope that was helpful.